What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall markets. I break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward as we have more data coming out. Not to mention some negative news involving the Cybertruck, which is part of the reason why Tesla's selling off a bit right now. Just keep in mind that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, and all friends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, as you guys could tell, we're forming a wedge right here. We've been making lower highs so far, but then at the same time, we're trying to hold the support. So I'm going to be watching to see, do we hold support? Do we get a big rejection? But there is some news that came out about the fact that Tesla has another recall. Tesla's going to be recalling about 46,000 Cybertrucks. This is what the media is saying that this is like the eighth recall they've had since like late 2023. That's not entirely true though, because they also count those software updates as recalls. But in this case, it's not really like that. So in this case, Tesla's recalling 46,000 Cybertrucks after some news came out that the exterior trim panel could detach. So to fix this, I believe that they have to use a new glue and then different bolts to fix that. And then HTSA also said that the stainless steel exterior trim panel could also become a road hazard, increasing the risk of a crash. So for now, we have the Cybertrucks built between November 2023 and February 2025 that have to be recalled. So that's very important news, at least for them. And hopefully Tesla gets this done with as soon as possible. So keep in mind, guys, that this is big news. And, I think they also kind of like halted deliveries for the time being until they fully address this issue. And if anything, hopefully they get this fixed as soon as possible and we continue from here. For more news involving the markets, just know that, the market's still going to be reacting to Jerome Powell. And we just got initial jobless claims and some pieces of data. So this was basically aligned with expectations. So was pretty much everything else. The Philly Fed prices are a little bit elevated, but everything else is very close to expectations. Then we're going to be listening to see what happens with our, home sales at 10 o'clock a.m. Then a couple of bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. But it's quite minor data with Jerome Powell. He said very, very interesting things yesterday. He did give us the warnings of the possibility of an increase in inflation, possibly due to the tariffs and because of other factors like that, at least for the short term. But for the long term, the Fed do anticipate more cuts, and they think that inflation is going to hit their target to 2% soon. So there was good, there was bad that came out from yesterday. Jerome Powell remains optimistic, and he is once again trying to keep the markets calm based off his tonality yesterday. So keep that in mind. For more news, like I said before, Jerome Powell continued to announce that the Fed wants to keep rates the same. They do have more potential cuts coming in the next 2 years than previously expected. But like I said before, there is a lot of uncertainty right now. Besides that, I didn't see anything else too crazy on the news that's really like affecting us as much. So that being said, I think I'm just going to be focusing on the charts. One last thing. Today is Thursday. Later on today, we have Nike and FedEx announcing earnings. Tomorrow we have NEO. So what do I see for Tesla? It depends on our levels. Okay. Tesla has to try to hold this trend line. We might see a little bit of a dip to retest like the 230 area. We have to bounce here and just continue to consolidate in this range for this to continue to move like this. If we get back above 250, so 250 is going to be a very, very big level. If we break through that, we're going to be looking for a bullish move to about 262. If we end up losing support right here at 233, we could be dumping back down towards, the 215 area. So we need to hold this low around 225. That fails us. We're looking for 215. We break resistance here at 244. We're looking for a pump back up to fill that gap and a nice move back up. My opinion is that what's going to happen to Tesla is we kind of dip a little bit with the recall news, and we'll see what the reaction is to this trend line very close to 230. Do we see a temporary balance before it kind of like rejects this way, or does it push higher? We'll just have to see about that. But look for a little bit more downside and see how it reacts to the lower trend line. There is a chance we kind of like reject and we kind of dip right here, and we attempt to ride the trend line up slowly, just like this. And then we'll see if we get a further decline or not. It all depends on what the reaction is. But I do see us kind of retest this lower trend line near 230, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. If we can't hold around 230, we're going to be at risk of returning to 225 or below. So just know that We're a little bit more bearish looking on Tesla. We kind of have like a double top here, and this is starting to resemble like a cup and handle, an inverse cup and handle. So I would just warn you to be careful. But that's what I'm seeing on the charts so far. So just be careful. SPY is starting to reject here. It depends. Can we continue to make higher highs and higher lows? So, we have this left shoulder ahead and then a right shoulder. The low over here is around this 559 area. We need to see SPY hold 559. If it doesn't hold, if we lose this low, we're going to be at risk of dipping to 555 or below. If we don't lose 559 and we just start bouncing, you want to see it get back above 568. If that breaks, we're looking for a push back up to fill this gap for essentially the 575 area. So 568 is going to be very big. In my opinion, we have like a left shoulder, kind of like a head, and possibly the right shoulder. But if we lose this low right here, that could be a sign that this is going to be forming a double top and rejecting. If we make a higher low, we could still bounce like this. So it all depends. So look for a small decline in SPY back down to about the 562 to 563 area. And if we could bounce there, I'm looking for a move back up to 568, then eventually into the 570s if that breaks. If we can't hold 559, if that fails us, I do expect us to turn. So make sure you watch this very closely. We look kind of heavy during the pre-market, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. So watch that very closely. On the QQQ is the same thing. We have kind of like a double bottom inverse head and shoulders like structure. I want to see it hold 472. If that holds, this could try to bounce back up to 484. If we lose 472, we could be dumping back down towards this gap fill, taking us down to 470. This would be like a double top right here. It would not be a good sign if that happens, as we have a bearish divergence. So lose 474, and we're looking for a dip 472, and then we could be looking for that gap fill and a big move down. If we could hold this low, if we could hold above 472, we could try to bounce. I want to see us get back above 484 to bounce. So we'll see about that. For the Russell 2000, inverse head and shoulders, we want to see this continue to uptrend. We could be dipping to like this 202 to 204 area. I just want to see us hold 202 at the very least. If it does, we could try to bounce and continue to uptrend for 208 plus. If we lose 202, we could be dumping a lot more. So we'll see if we dip and bounce. So just watch that very closely. On ES, making higher lows right now, but I want to see it break past 57.63 to remain bullish. If we lose the low at 56.60, we could turn back down. So as long as we hold the low, we could try to bounce for the 57.60s. For NQ, we have kind of like a double bottom structure. I need to see it break past 20,000 to remain bullish. If we end up losing 19,600, we could turn back down, but I need to see it get bought back up to 20,000 for this to have hope. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I'm seeing some bars trying to defend it. It might kind of dip a bit, but as long as we don't lose this low, we could attempt to bounce. It could go either way. We're kind of 50-50 because it depends on how the market interprets Jerome Powell's words. Looking at Bitcoin, for example, we're technically attempting to hold this yellow trend line. So we'll have to see if this holds or not. We might dip towards 84,000. As long as that holds, we could slowly uptrend. If that fails us, we could be dumping more. So we'll see how that goes. On Nvda, we also have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like structure. If we end up losing support right here around this 114 area, we could be dipping back down to about 111. If we end up breaking past 120, we're looking for a bounce. We're kind of stuck in the middle, but I'm seeing some weakness, so there's going to be a risk of us returning to 114. We still kind of weak right now, so just be careful. Aapl looks kind of weak. I would like to see it hold above 215. We need to get back above 215. Otherwise, we're just consolidating. If we can't hold above 215, we could return to 210. So be very careful with Aapl. For Coinbase, we hit resistance near 194. We need to hold 187. If that holds, we could try to bounce for 196. If this fails us, we could be dipping back down to fill that gap at 181. So just watch that very closely. On Amazon, we're just completely range bound right here. Our support's at 191 and our resistance is going to be around 200. So we'll see if we hold support and try to bounce or not. We're kind of stuck in the middle. I do think we might be dipping to 191 though. For Meta, we're making lower highs right here. We're forming a bullish divergence. I need to see us get back above 593 to start pushing higher to 603. If we lose 576, we could be dipping more, but overall, we are looking kind of weak since we're rejecting off our 20. I want to see it break 593 to turn back to bullish. If we can't, we're going to be at risk of dipping to like 570. On Microsoft are in the middle. We need to hold above 388. If not, we could be dipping to 382. And Google needs to get back above 168. Otherwise, they could be dipping lower. So just be careful. The VIX is starting to bounce off our 200 EMA. So if we get a big bounce in the VIX, this could be a bearish signal for the markets. As of right now, I would be very, very careful. So as far as Tesla goes, we might be seeing a decline this morning. We could get very close to about 230, if not 227, depending on where the trend line is. And we'll see if we hold that or not. If we don't hold this trend line, this low is going to be retested. And if we break that, we're going to turn bearish. There's bad news involving the Cybertruck so far, so please be careful. Anyways, guys, have a good one and peace out.